Hello, how are you? I am Áine home with the baby reflux lady, and I just want to tell you how excited I am that you have signed up for this webinar with me next Wednesday on the 8th of September, all about reflux, food and digestion, the missing link. I cannot stress how important the information that I'm going to be sharing with you next Wednesday is. Now, before that, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on the webinar going through my history because actually there is far too much material and content that I need to give you. So I'll take a few minutes now to just give you a little bit of my background in case you're new to me and the work that I do. Back in 2013, I became a mum for the first time, and it was absolutely awful. My daughter suffered, she cried, she screamed all day, all night. Nights are particularly bad. And all I was told initially was that she had colic. I was told that all babies cry. I was told that I needed to get used to babies crying because this is what they did. She was 6 weeks old when I had a health visitor tell me that my daughter was the most stubborn child she'd ever met in 30 years of being a health visitor. It's the same as a public health nurse in Ireland and other places. And that broke my heart because I knew in my gut that what was going on for my daughter wasn't just infant crying. It sounded like she was in pain. It sounded like she was asking me for help. And thankfully, I felt like I kept responding to her. I never really put her down. I was told I was making a rod for my own back and giving her bad behaviours. And this is when she was only 6 weeks old. Fast forward 5.5 months, and I discovered through internet searching at 3 a.m. in the morning, a description of my child. I'm like, this is it. This is it. Oh my goodness, she's got silent reflux. Now, until this point, I had never heard the phrase silent reflux. I'd heard of reflux, but my baby never threw up, so obviously she didn't have reflux. And it seemed that this particular webpage, which is from an Australian company, was describing my child to a T. That was a weekend morning. On Monday morning, I rang the doctor. I was like, oh my God, I think my baby's got silent reflux. Described everything. And the doctor went, yeah, that sounds about right. I'm like, so great. What do we do about it? How do we help her? To which the response was, it's okay. She'll grow out of it. It's normal. Don't worry about it. And in that moment, my heart sank. For a day and a half over the weekend, I had held hope that somebody would be able to help us, to give us some answers, to explain what was going on, and to help us see some light at the end of this tunnel. I did not expect to get smacked down and being told that my baby's suffering, and she was suffering, was normal. Later that year, another 4 months on, I discovered she actually had cow's milk protein intolerance. Not quite an allergy, but certainly an intolerance. Every night she woke up, she would be awake for an hour and a half to 3 hours with severe pain in her tummy, begging for help every single night. And I'd never heard of this condition. And some friends introduced me to it. They said, just cut out dairy and see what it goes. And I was at a wedding, friend's wedding. I literally stopped eating the ice cream. Okay, I've never heard of this. What is it? A week later, my daughter was significantly improved, but not fully. Over the year, I saw countless health visitors, midwives, GPs, allergists, dietitians, and the only question I ever asked was, why is my baby crying? What's causing her to be in pain? And not one person was ever able to answer that. Now, my background was in engineering, mechanical engineering and project management, and also traditional Chinese medicine. With that, I was always trained to ask the question, what's the root cause? Because when we understand the root cause of something, we can then provide a much better answer and address the root cause to create a cascade of positive impact, which I saw happening in projects that I worked with all the time. But no medic was able to answer that question other than reflux is normal. It's normal. It's normal. Most babies get it. It's normal. And so when my daughter was 9 months, I went back to doing what I did best, which was tracking data. Like, I tracked everything that I ate, everything that she ate, when she slept, when she pooped, when she cried, everything. And I discovered a massive connection between the foods I was eating and her disrupted night times and the constant pain in her tummy. So for 3 weeks, I lived on chicken, avocado, and butternut squash. I do not recommend that anybody ever survives just on those three foods for any length of time. But all of a sudden, I had a child who was sleeping for 6-hour stretches. And when she woke, she was waking for 5 to 10 minutes for reassurance that mummy was there, rather than asking for help and screaming in pain. The engineer in me wasn't happy enough going, right, I've got to a great place. I needed to know why. And that's where I came across this most important piece of research. Actually, it's not even a piece of research. It's a body of research that was carried out in the 1980s that I'm going to be talking to you about on the 8th on the webinar. It is the piece of research that all medics, all healthcare professionals just seem to either be completely untrained about or completely ignoring. And it is so, so important for how we support kids of the future. This stuff changed my life. It changed the lives, it has changed the lives of hundreds, if not thousands of families across the world in the last 5 years because of the work that I do. And I cannot wait to talk to you about it next Wednesday. So make sure you block out your diary. I only teach this webinar once a year. This is it. This is the only time. I don't care if you're in Australia, if you're in California, if you're in New Zealand or the Arctic Circle or in Britain and Ireland. Block off your diary for an hour and a half from 8 p.m. British summertime and join me live. The energy on the live webinar. I want to have chat. I want to have conversation with you guys. I want to know what you think of this stuff. Once a year. Stay up in the middle of the night, get out early, block off your diary. It's really important. We have such fun on the live webinar. Yes, there will be a replay. And yes, you can get all the information. However, it is much more immersive if you join me live. Anyway, I'm really excited. Thank you for joining me, and I shall see you at 8 p.m. on the 8th.